Hello, is yet another time that we come to Now Tell Us, a show where we have someone come and tell us stories. Someone comes and educates us on a subject. Someone comes and inspires into living life and being the best version of ourselves. And today we have a great guest with us who's been to more places than you can ever imagine. And he talks about college, but I am not going to preempt what he says about college. I'm just going to have him in the show and he's going to tell us about everything to do with college. And welcome to the show, our guest, Alex Boylan. Hi, Alex.
Good to be here, Anthony. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
yes. Can we know where you are? Where
What's
you are
that?
at? Where you are at?
Yeah, I am, which I'm rarely home, but I am home right now in the city of Los Angeles, California, here in the United States.
Oh, yeah, it's good that I asked you where you are because it's not always that you are at home. You are
I'm
up
very, yeah,
outside.
you're right. I'm very rarely home. So
So how does it feel to be at home?
being at home in the summertime, I live in Venice Beach. Oh man, it's awesome. So it's good to be home. But I got a few weeks here where I'm not Well, I will be traveling, but not traveling for work. And then it will be two colleges a week until at least Thanksgiving. So it gets busy here in a second.
So approximately how many weeks or how many months in a year are you at home now since you started on this journey?
You know, well, it's it my back in the day when I used to do a lot of travel shows, I'd be gone for months at a time. But
Uh,
now with this show, I'm pretty much gone Monday to Thursday, Friday every week. So I'm home for the weekends. So I usually leave on Monday. We're shooting approximately two colleges a week, filming two colleges a week, two episodes. So I usually fly in on Monday. I do my host stand up on Tuesday. I fly Wednesday to the next location and do another one, and then I fly back to Los Angeles. So that's a normal week for me.
that's beautiful. And
Yeah,
there's someone who is watching us and is wondering, what about this college shooting are they talking about?
absolutely.
Tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. So the College Tour is a TV series, can be found on Amazon Prime, thecollegetour.com, and about 17 different channels. Each episode of the College Tour tells the story of one institution, one college or university, through the lens of real current students. So each episode, you now don't have to travel, especially with airline flights and inflation and everything that's happening. You don't have to travel to these college campuses. You can sit back on. You can get our app. You can download our app. You can go to our website. You get to watch these episodes for free, to get a real sense of where do I want to go and what should I be inspired by, and et cetera, et cetera. So, and it all started because like a few years ago, my niece, if you know the United States, she grew up in Wisconsin, which is pretty middle America. And she
Mhm.
was having a really tough time figuring out where she wanted to go to college. And, she, just like millions of other young people, didn't have the money to travel around. America's a big country, right? And have the money to
Mhm.
travel all around coast to coast, looking at different college campuses on location. And
Yeah.
so that's where the idea came from. It was really to save money, time, and energy, for young people, their parents, counselors, teachers. So everyone could just sit back and watch an episode of television. And the College Tour was born, and we've already filmed 70 episodes, if you can imagine that, in
Wow.
2 years. Yeah.
So you've been to 70 colleges and counting.
70 colleges and counting, correct.
And yeah, since I know we have hundreds of thousands, then there is no stopping in the near future. I guess that.
Absolutely. Our goal is to tell the story of every single college and university in the country, and whether that's a community college, a trade school, a technical school, a big state school, a Christian school, whatever the school is, we want to tell that authentic story. I mean, there's 4,000 institutions just in the United States alone. And
Hmm.
I think for us, we really just want to lift up higher education,
Hmm.
and get young people to have passion and purpose and understand where they're going. Sometimes when you're young and you're in high school, you don't know where you're going.
Hmm.
And we think by real college students telling their stories, it's really peer to peer. And
Yeah.
now a college student can say, I'm super passionate about engineering, and this is how I'm going to school, and this is how it's helping to me, and this is where I'm going in life. And I think when the younger people, whether 10, 11, 15, 16, whatever their age is, while they're young, they can be like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to be a doctor, or I want to be an engineer, or a veterinarian, or a chef, or I can start being inspired by people that are just a few years older than me.
Yeah, and I think that's why exactly I was going. I was going to commend you for coming up with such a bright idea, because I remember when I was clearing high school, I couldn't figure out what I was going to do in life. And the idea that I was getting from my guardian and my parents could be outdated. Maybe they were not the present day ideas that were moving. I mean, they've been there years before me. They don't know what's moving right now. They don't know what's earning much more right now, because they're in a different profession and they are busy doing their own things. So, what a bright way to hear it from someone who is already going through it, experiencing the hardships, and telling you the things that they are enjoying in whatever they are doing. So that's quite great.
Well, and I appreciate it. And we've gone as far now, and just so your audience knows, everything at the college tour is free. It's free to watch, it's free to participate. And we now, because of the overwhelming feedback that we received from high schoolers and parents and guidance counselors and everyone just saying, thank you for the show. And they actually put the idea in our head. So now we have free classes at thecollegetour.com where students can come, and it helps them to start thinking about how to think about university, from the majors to the location of the school is an important thing. The campus culture is a big thing. What type of institution is this? And we've even found out, and that was designed for students, but we've found a lot of parents taking the course, because I think now there's a generation gap there, and it's good for parents to be able to do it. So they have the language to speak to their kids and be able to say, oh, how are you thinking about it? Because I think too often it happens where mom and dad maybe went to school, or maybe mom and dad never went to school, right? Yeah. The young person's not going to, because my parents went there, doesn't mean it's the right fit for me, as well as maybe my parents didn't go to school and I don't even know where to begin this process. So now we've created free classes to help students just start thinking about how to think about researching their college.
And that's quite interesting and quite beautiful that you've come up with that. And we are talking about the United States, and this is where you're telling us that you're focused on. But I kind of got wind that you've been all around the world. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, my background is international travel shows. So I've filmed in probably 60, 70 countries around the world. I got into this whole entertainment business, because if you know the show, The Amazing Race, you know that show?
I don't know about the show, and maybe the viewer has no idea. What is this?
Okay, well, it's a race around the world. It's a big reality show in America. It's been around for 20 years. Okay. I won the second season of that show. And, I was a business major, and I was in business before this, and just fell in love with it. I fell in love with production, fell in love with travel. My father was a pastor, so I grew up. I didn't go to the normal tourist attractions. My parents were like, we're going to go, help feed the poor in Izmir, Turkey. Yeah. And so, so I just had a unique upbringing. And so from there, I just fell in love with it, started hosting shows, started creating shows. I was behind the TV series Around the World for Free, where one person had to make it around the world with no money. That was my brainchild. And I was the host of season 1. And so from there to Missions in Action to Travel Channel, I've spent my life pretty much telling stories all around the world.
And most of this was before the college tour.
All of this is pre-college tour. Yeah. Everything I was doing. And I think a lot of your background ends up helping the next, part of your chapter, at least for me. And so, I always love telling real stories of real people. And if you look at all the shows I've done, that's pretty much what it is. It's I'm just going to tell you what real life is like, and real people, real stories, especially around the world for free. And I think a lot of that's lent really well into the college tour, because the college tour is just real students and their real stories at their institutions. And so I think bringing those to life, I don't even feel like I have a job because I know this industry really well. I love doing what we do. And just now we feel such a stewardship for the next generation because higher education is so important. We can all look at the statistics, at least here in the States, what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you get a higher education. And that could mean community college for some, all the way to getting your doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of money you will make, the opportunities that will come in your life, the social and economic mobility that you will have. Higher education helps get you there and helps get you, I would say, on the path to the life that you want. And so to be able to be a part of telling those stories, to just, lift up. I mean, we always say it, it's like a love letter to colleges and universities, because
Mm-hmm.
what they are doing for our youth and helping the planet become a better place for all of us. It's an incredible place where young people, it's that transition into adulthood. And I don't think ever before, has anyone else told their stories before. And so we feel really blessed to be the ones doing it.
Yeah, and I envy you that you're doing something that you so much love. Someone said that if your work is doing something that you love, you'll never work for a single day in your life.
I,
And I think this is
Anthony couldn't,
you.
Anthony couldn't be more right. I say that all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope the college tour is doing that,
Yeah.
because it's hard to know when you're young, and you're typically only exposed to the world that you're exposed to wherever you live on the planet. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are going to be exposed. You might live in a big city. You might live in a rural area. There's so much diversity in our planet, and that's a blessing to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But access to information is key, and access to these stories is key. And so, just being a piece of the ones telling these stories is just incredible.
Yeah, and you tell it so well. And not only that, I had a glance at your website and I saw the videos there. I mean, they are top quality. They've been taken by maybe some of the best gadgets that you can find out there in the market. And so I know that people are going to be glued to them once they go and watch them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're very fortunate. The people that are behind the college tour are multi Emmy award winners. I mean, we have run the biggest shows on television. Lisa
Hmm.
Hennessy, one of the executive producers. I mean, if you know the show Survivor, I mean,
Yeah.
the team behind here is extremely experienced running the biggest shows in Hollywood.
Hmm.
And everyone, if you ask them all, it's like, no, they feel so blessed to be doing the college tour right now because there's a mission behind it. And so you're getting top quality Hollywood, the best videographers, the best directors. Anthony, it takes us 6 months to make an episode. So
6 months.
it's good. And that's probably about, just on our end, that's probably 50, 60 people who are going to touch that episode at some point or time. And
Whoa.
then, of course, there's a team on that. We look at this as a co-production with the institutions. We're
Hmm.
working with the institutions
Hmm.
to come up with it. So, yeah, you're probably looking at 70, 80 people that are working on the show. So it's not, we always say we're not a marketing company. We're not an ad agency. We are a production company. We are TV people. And we approach this show like we approach any other show. In fact, probably put more time into each episode than a typical television episode, because there's so many pieces of it, and you're working with people who have never been on camera before, just not used to being in the television space. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
thank you for the kudos. But these are the best cinematographers in the planet. They're the ones that are filming these episodes.
And there's something I've loved about that. And this is to someone who's watching or listening to this. Uh, a quote I had went like this: now, if you can achieve your big dream alone, then you're dreaming so little. You better dream big and include other people. 70 people to make one episode. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's just, when you think about, I mean, in television, that's not, in television, many shows have 5,000 people working on them. But,
Hmm.
we scale it down, and especially in the field. But yeah, when you take, you gotta pre-produce these. That takes time. You're working with students. There's script writers. There's, a lot of logistics. All of those pieces of the production process are so important. And then you have a team in the field, and then post-production. You have to have colorists and sound mixers. There's a lot that goes in to make it look perfect.
And what would you tell someone who's just beginning, or someone who's dreaming of being in the showbiz, or maybe starting something mega and he doesn't have an idea of how to get started or how to
Yeah.
grow?
One foot in front of the other is first. But I think it's always good of like, where are you going? Like, start there. Start where, what is your end point? What is your goal? Right? Like, what is that? So it's like, start at the end. And then it's easy to build a roadmap to that point. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what the project is. If, for us, it was our mission. We have a mission. We want to tell the story of every single institution in the world, but let's just start with America. That's 4,000 episodes. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't start with a big team. When we started, there wasn't 70 people touching every episode. There was probably 6. And a lot of it was getting favors in and being very hands-on and trying to figure out, is this a good idea? And so we built out the roadmap in each phase of that. And with success, it builds, and you start building teams upon teams upon teams in order to be able to do 2 episodes a week. That in our production funnel,
Mm-hmm.
there's 20 episodes in different stages. Some episodes are just starting, some are about to go to air, some are filming, some are casting. Everyone's somewhere different. So there's probably 20, 25 episodes on our docket of work. And so you don't get there overnight. That
Yeah.
takes a lot of time and energy. But I would say just start slowly. Know where you're going. You can start with one person. It starts with an idea and a little bit of elbow grease, and you slowly can just start building. But if you know where you're going, it's easy to build out. I'd say it's somewhat easy to build out a roadmap to get there.
Mm. And I can identify with that. I have just recently started writing. I published my second book just this year, self-published. So I'm just in
Congratulations.
stages. Thank you. And I happen to now, because this is what we are doing, and we are sending someone a message out there who's maybe thinking of big things to do. Uh, you need to learn from people ahead of you. Now in the college tour, you learn from the teachers that are experienced. You learn it from the students. So recently, I was watching one of the biggest known writers, and I'm focusing on a point that you expressed there that left me wondering how on earth. Now, the question was thrown to him. He's known as, he's Stephen King. He's known as, and the question was thrown to him. Now, can you tell us right now, as you're sitting here in the studio, back at home, how many projects are you having running? And he said, I think I have like about 30 books in the process. 30 books in the process. How do you even manage
Yeah.
to go about? So, how do you prioritize which episode is going to come out first? Which college that is going?
Well, it's interesting because it'd be different. And I don't know Stephen King's process of how he does things. We do the same thing at every university,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, every episode's different. It's very authentic. But so for us, it was more building the process, building the teams, it's almost like we're building the factory that can output a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So for us, we have a very specific process. In those 6 months to make an episode, we know what's happening every single day at every moment, who's working on what.
Mm-hmm.
And so every episode, whether you are wherever you are, like everyone starts at the same place and goes through the exact same process till the end. Does that make sense? So internally, we're not deciding, oh, we should work on this or that's a higher priority. It doesn't work. Everyone's a higher priority. It's just different stages of what they're going to go through in order to get where that episode needs to be. Whereas I don't know this, but I would bet in writing, maybe it is what you're inspired to do at the moment, or it might be a little bit more abstract, but we're very clear. There's no question. Every single episode, every single institution will go through the same 6-month process, hitting the same exact team members, that work on different aspects of the production.
No, that's very clear for us. And maybe even as we've come to this point, we could have a glimpse of what it is there that you cover. You talked about the students, they talk about this. Maybe a better way to put this question is, what are some of the topics that you find inspiring, some of the topics that you find students are interested in knowing much more about?
You know, every institution is different, and it
Mm,
has its own vibe. It has its
yeah.
own culture.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and a lot of them they're just different. And so our process of how we go through it allows us, it will just naturally unfold. So we always say there's two pieces of the first things that we work on.
Mm-hmm.
One, we'll start thinking about and talking to the university. What are some of your biggest things that you want to, what do you want to talk about? It could be, let's talk about the location. That's a very popular segment. But maybe it's like they have an amazing engineering program for whatever reason. Maybe it's because of a professor, maybe because some of their resources or whatever it is. We start identifying some of the key things that really make this institution stand out.
Okay.
That begins at one side of the process. The other side, at that same time, we're casting.
Mm-hmm.
These are real students. So
Mm-hmm.
we cast a wide net. Anyone at that university can apply to be on the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And through that process, that's where we find stories. And
Okay.
sometimes they overlap. It's like, oh man, we really wanted to tell the story of nursing. And here's a nursing student, you know, from Athens, Greece, that
Yeah.
came over here and has a great story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way. And so sometimes you're marrying ideas together. Sometimes the student's story is so powerful, you thought you want to tell the story of athletics, but this student has an amazing story about the medical school.
Okay.
And so you're constant, it's creative, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you're working with the university. So our team and their team are just, you're slowly whittling down and trying to find the best stories possible that tell an authentic story. And so hope all that makes sense, but that's how we get through it.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense, and we understand, we quite get it how it goes. And now comes the other question. I know that 4,000 is quite a number, but I was thinking and I was curious. After you're done with the states, what could be your dream country to land on first?
It's a great question. We're open. And by the way, we are in discussions with our first international school
Okay.
institution. So we always, I mean, we are global citizens at the college tour. Everyone all the executives have filmed it. I mean, if you combined all the countries that are I mean, we know the world and we love telling those stories. So
Mhm.
I don't, I don't think we'll wait to tell all the stories of the institutions in the United States prior to doing international schools, because we're already talking about doing one. So
Okay.
my guess is in the, you know, more next year, we'll probably start doing more of them if it makes sense.
Okay, and we'll find out then where it is that you're
Yeah.
going.
And by the way, I don't have a favorite country. I mean,
Okay.
I love every country. I love humanity. I love, you know, the globe and all the different cultures and different places. So there's a lot of variables, as you can imagine, that come up of like, you know, picking the school and the school having the time and the energy and like timing. And there's lots of variables that go into, you know, deciding on making an episode or not. So we'll see
Oh,
where it goes.
oh, yeah, you don't have a favorite country, but I guess you have some favorite stories of when you were moving around. From which country you had a great
Oh
story?
yeah, you know, and it's the question I get all the time. And it's
Yeah,
really, I mean, we live on an amazing planet, right?
yeah.
There's so many different, how do you compare? I'm looking up at a map right now. That's what I'm looking at. I'm like, how do you compare like Guyana and the Amazon of like Kaiser Falls, which is beautiful, in a country most people haven't even heard of, in northern part of South America, to, let's say, you know, Mozambique or Botswana. I drove the country of Botswana. I mean, those are just different experiences, both
Okay.
amazing, amazing people, amazing cultures. How do you, and then go over to Thailand, and we've done a lot in Thailand. I've filmed a lot in Thailand. I love that culture. So
Okay.
to me, it's more of, I don't have a favorite. My favorite's the next trip I take, because I love, you know, I did around the world for free. I love people and I love
Mhm.
places and I love telling those authentic stories. So I always say, when people ask me what's my favorite, I'm like, the next destination is my favorite.
Yes, and we can sure tell that you're an amazing person. Now, did you give the amazing things or amazing self of you to them, or did you take from going around the world? Your
Say
perspective
that.
on life, on being positive, and the way that we identify here from this episode. Did you pick it going around, or was it implanted in you by your pastor father?
It's a great question. I definitely had I think there's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved people
Yeah.
since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunately raised in a very open environment where I saw a lot at a young age, which is,
Mm-hmm.
not easy for a lot of people, but I was really, I would say fortunate, because I traveled a lot with my parents. And so
Yeah.
I saw the world and how big the world is and my dad's a pastor, and I have memories of him being with like a Muslim imam in Turkey, both speaking together, like that's the world I was raised in.
Yeah.
So from that, at the age of 16, I went and played soccer for Campinense in Brazil. So I moved
Mm-hmm.
by myself to Brazil at 15 years old and lived with the family down there. And
Mm-hmm.
in college at 19, I moved to Munich, Germany, and worked over there. So I think that my youth and being raised, seeing the world, took that fear away from me, allowing me to step out way younger than the average. No one was moving to Brazil, and most, I was living on different continents before I was even out of high school by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so imagine after college, I had an idea to move to the island of St. John in the West Indies. I moved there, and it was no big deal. And
Okay.
so I just think all those little pieces of life added up. So when Around the World for Free came, I was extremely comfortable doing it. It wasn't a big deal, but I know that as you get older and if you don't do things, things can become a little scarier and a little bit more harder to just see. And so I think for me, seeing the world and experiencing amazing other cultures and people and how they live and it's like cliche and cool to say, but like I always appreciated the diversity on our planet. I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
everyone's problem is. You know what I mean? Like this is what makes it cool. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be real boring if we all thought the same, we all looked the same. And so like I always was fascinated by that and just loved it. So it doesn't put me anywhere in the world. I have a saying. A
Mm-hmm.
smile and a wave goes farther than anything else that you have. Because most people on this planet are good people and they want
Mm-hmm.
to do the same thing, have a good
Mm-hmm.
job and take care of their family. That is humanity, right? If you go
Yeah.
around the globe, everyone pretty doesn't matter what culture, 99% of the population, that's what they want to do. And I
Mm.
think if people had that perspective, things would be a little bit better on the planet. But so I've just been blessed to see a lot, experience a lot, and that's something that I will do to the day I die.
And when I grow up, I want to be just like Alex, going around the world, going around the world and enjoying the goodness of this planet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah. And at this point, I would like to ask if people want to connect with you and enjoy that big smile of yours and maybe
Aw.
learn about the college tour and other things that you could come up with in the future, how can they reach you?
Yeah, two ways. Thecollegetour.com is where you can find everything about the college tour. So
Mhm.
you can find all the information there. And then, yeah, follow me on Instagram, Boylan Alex. It's my name reversed. So instead of Alex Boylan, it's Boylan at Boylan Alex. And I try to post, my journeys as much as possible there as I travel around and, meet people. Right now it's in America, but America has got a lot of diversity here. So lots of different cultures I share, and I share as much as I can.
That's beautiful. So, if you're out there and you want to connect with Alex to learn more about him and about his adventures, go to thecollegetour.com and you can always find other ways to connect with him, your favorite way of connecting with a person like Alex. And we are just about coming to the end of this show. But before we go, would like Alex to leave us with a few words that we'll always remember. Which are they, Alex?
I would say doesn't matter what your age is, the more you can find your passion, you can find your purpose. And I would say the ways to do that, at least the ways I do it, two ways. I talk to God and I listen to God. Prayer and meditation will do more for you than most other things, and just figure out where you're supposed to be in life And wherever that is, go for it. We only have so many years on this planet and nothing is guaranteed. So might as well go enjoy it. So, and in the process, hopefully you find your passion, you find your purpose. And just like you said, you know, when you find that, you'll never work a day in your life.
Wow, that's beautiful. To everyone who's listening out there, go and put that into practice and say, Alex told you to.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been an honor having you on our show. I've been your host, Anthony Morore, and together with Alex, we are saying bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.